Hi, it's Marc Champ here from the Wharf Academy. Today I'm joined by Richard Stretton of Elite Investment Properties. Hi, Richard, how are you?
Yeah, very well, thanks, Mark.
Good, excellent. Well, it's great to have you on our YouTube channel. Um, I know we've been doing a bit of work together for the last few years, and we just wanted to talk to you about your experiences as a property investor and serial refurber, shall we say, and see what you've been doing and what the highlights and the maybe the pitfalls are that you've seen along the way. So, do you want to give us a bit about your background, Richard?
Yeah, sure. So I started off working for my family business. I used to run a marquee company. Always had rental properties for a long period of time, and enjoyed doing that a lot more than my day job, really. So probably early part of 2017, I decided to take some training, learn how to do it, try and get more involved in property. I then went on to buy a small buy-to-let property, which I refurbished myself, turned it around, and really enjoyed it. So that's what led me into the property market. I then did some training. COVID hit, and my marquee business sort of went down the pan for obvious reasons, which luckily led me or forced me into taking on property full time. So that's kind of evolved and out of necessity and a want at the same time.
Okay, so you've mentioned training a few times there. Was the training worth it? Did you learn a lot? How was it?
Um, yeah, I mean, it was extremely useful. I found all the different aspects of property exciting, mind blowing. Some of the stuff didn't even realise some of the things that they teach you actually even happened. So it was extremely useful, but very expensive at the same time. A lot of people ask me if I think it was worth it. To me, I feel it was, because I was going into starting a new career in a completely different industry, which I had some knowledge of, but not half as much as I thought. And I wanted that reassurance, that backup of having the right knowledge behind me.
And I suppose it not only is it the knowledge, but it's a network there, isn't it? So you can rely on other people and their experiences.
That's right. Yeah, yeah. So there's always somebody who's been through a problem that you're experiencing that you can bounce ideas off. We're all part of a Facebook group. Most property investors go to network meetings. So there's a large community which helps with you not feeling as alone as sometimes you can be when you're dealing with a lot of money on a property purchase where the numbers might not have stacked the way you thought it would. 100 different issues that could go wrong, and there's a lot of people there that can help you through them.
Yeah, it's really important to have that backup. And one of the first things I say to investors is get the team that you can trust around you. So make sure you've got a solicitor, an accountant, a broker, and also a good idea of all the different aspects that you need to know about when investing in property. But when you were looking at your first investment, how did you decide what to go for? What was it you were looking for?
Well, my first proper investment purchase was before I did any training, and fortunately for me, it worked out well. But I didn't follow an awful lot of the rules that I now know.
Mhm.
Um, but when I started in the education side, after that, we decided we wanted to go into HMO properties, um, and they come with a lot more regulation, a lot of different issues that you can come across, compared to a normal buy to let.
Yeah, because I know I've seen the products that you've created, the the end products, the HMOs, and they look great. I saw one of your videos on it, and they're finished really well. And you've got two aspects, like you were saying there. You've got the actual regulation and making sure you're doing things in the right way, but you also need to present it right, because I think HMO landlords, may have got a bit of a bad reputation in the past, where people have been trying to cram as many people into a small area as possible. But especially the ones I've seen of yours, they look really good.
Well, we do try and go above and beyond. We want to have a nice experience for our tenants. We don't want to have a high turnaround of people coming and going. So if we can supply a nice product, and then that generally means that our tenants like to stay for a longer period.
Yeah, they certainly do look good. And I remember somebody saying you should always create an environment where you would live in yourself. And
Yeah.
I certainly would live in one of your HMOs. They look really good. So
I'll find you a room if you like, Mark.
yeah, my wife will probably be all right with that. She'll probably send me off. She'll encourage that. But the areas you invest in as well. I know Coventry is one of the places you've looked at.
Yeah.
How and why would you choose a particular area?
Well, we started off actually in Cleethorpes. We have a property up there, and we were looking. That was our first HMO purchase, and we were looking for an area with high demand for that kind of accommodation, at a reasonable price for the purchase and refurb. And we found that Cleethorpes at the start hitted our brief quite well.
And do you have, asking about that quickly, your brief, do you actually have almost like a tick list of certain things that you want in a property?
Yes, that's right. Yeah. So we look for how we can split the property up into the required size rooms. And with our properties, we always look to install en suites in each room. We find that works a lot better for our tenants. And again, it makes them stay longer because they have their own accommodation. They only have to share the kitchen.
I see. Yeah, because the whole way of choosing a property, there must be so many things that you have to weigh up. And when you watch location, there's always a compromise that you have to make on one thing or another. Do you find that bit difficult to do?
It can be challenging, but there's generally always a way around it. So sometimes you might compromise slightly on one room being slightly smaller than the others, but as long as that meets HMO regulations in that area, that is a compromise that you can make. Or alternatively, it can be where the kitchen size is slightly smaller, but you have another option to install a small kitchenette in each of the bedrooms to counteract the smaller size of the kitchen if you have larger bedrooms. So there's generally a workaround around most issues.
Yeah, and it does seem that there is so much to consider. And I know one of the things that new people to the industry struggle with is actually making the first step of saying, do you know what, this is the property I'm going to go for. And there seems to be quite a bit of pondering and kicking a few tires, and they're not actually making the first step. How was it for you when you made your first purchase?
Well, we spent over a year researching our first HMO area. So we felt extremely ready. We'd done our training, but we'd prepared really well. I felt that we'd researched the areas, we'd spoke to all the agents, we'd identified a demand in the area. So it was nerving because we were spending a lot more money than we'd ever had on a property before. We were working with builders, which generally we hadn't done in the past. It was more a personal refurb that we did ourselves, a light refurb, which again comes with challenges. Yeah, it worked out well, and the deal stacked in the end, which is the most important thing.
And when it came to actually financing that property purchase, there's obviously senior debt, so lending through your normal channels, but investor finance, how has that worked for you? Has that been of use?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a brilliant aspect of being able to offer private investors a higher rate of return on their money than they can get in the banks, but also it allows us to be able to grow our portfolio. So we always look for a win-win solution for both parties, and the investors that we have on board so far are really happy with our service.
Well, that's good. And this is a question that I've never asked before. What happens if you don't get a profitable product at the end of it, and the repayment and the interest to the investor, if that wasn't going to be forthcoming, what would be the scenario there?
So certainly we'd go back to the investor if that was a situation, ask them if they could extend the period of time with a higher rate of interest to appease that certain issue. If that wasn't an option, our investors always get either a first or second charge on the property. So they have a legal right to that property to recoup their money. But the very last resort would be to sell the property and to release the funds that way to the investor.
I see. So there are mechanisms in place.
Yes, that's right.
To protect everybody. No, that's good. And I think going forward, what would your plans be? What was your next step? What would you be looking at?
Well, we're currently in the process of purchasing 2 more properties. So one will hopefully be a 7-bedroom, all-ensuite HMO once we've gone through planning, and the other one will be a 6-bedroom, all-ensuite, ready for the student market. So we're looking to create more of these properties. We have a high demand in our areas, and looking to introduce more investors to our system, and helping a win-win for both of us, really.
Excellent. I know you're very busy, and you have your eye on a lot of projects going forward. So hopefully you continue to grow. But to help others grow, what would be the one or maybe a couple of things that new investors should look out for? Any things to watch out for? Any tips you could give?
I'd certainly just say make sure you're confident of your numbers. That's the biggest advice I could possibly give. There's always hidden costs that you might not necessarily see at the start, but you've got to counter everything in before you agree to purchase. And then once you've got your numbers set in stone, you should be okay. But if you try and fudge those numbers by saying, well, I'm trying to add, they're asking for more money for the purchase price, it'll always come off your profit at the end. So make a decision on what you're going to pay and stick to it.
Excellent. Well, thank you for that. And thank you very much for doing the interview. It's really appreciated. If people want to get hold of you to ask you any advice or anything like that, how would they be able to do that?
Yeah, they can always get me on email, which is info@eliteinvestmentproperties.co.uk, or they can give me a call on 07830 339092.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Richard. Really appreciate it. So we'll end it there. And if people want to see more, please subscribe to the YouTube, and hopefully you can click on the like button. You can get us at info@wharffinancial.co.uk, or other social media channels at Wharf Financials with an S on the end. So thank you very much, and have a lovely day.